Does pain in the body necessarily mean the body has been injured? Let's start with a true story. In 1995, a worker jumped from a very high scaffold while working. As a result, a 6-inch nail in the wooden plank below went through his shoe. The man felt great pain and cried out in agony. The workers rushed him to the hospital. Finding the man in too much pain, the doctor injected him with strong painkillers, which calmed him down. Then the doctor carefully removed his shoes. At this point, the doctor was surprised to find that the nail had indeed come out between his toes, and his feet were not damaged in the slightest. But why was he in so much pain? Welcome to Audible Wisdom. Today's book is The Truth About Pain by Monty Lyman. This reading may turn your perception of pain upside down. Although we are all basically familiar with the phenomenon of pain, we tend to misunderstand or misinterpret pain. How does pain occur in the human body? Why do some people feel pain when they have not suffered any physical injury? And for these real pains, can they really be relieved by spiritual power? What causes pain? In fact, pain has been studied for centuries in an effort to find the answer. In the 17th century, the French scientist and philosopher René Descartes included an illustration of a boy by the fire. The illustration shows a barefoot boy roasting by a bonfire. Descartes believed that pain was like the ringing of a bell. If the boy's feet were burned by the fire, a wire in the body would be pulled and a bell of pain would ring in the brain. The rattle theory seems easy to understand. We could think of it as the nerves sending the pain to the brain. In fact, the theory seems to make sense. It has influenced our understanding of pain for more than 400 years. But people have found that there are many phenomena that it doesn't explain. For example, in my own experience, I had to move furniture during a move. When I sat down to rest after moving the furniture, I realized that my hand was bruised. The strange thing is that I didn't feel any pain until I saw the cut on my hand. Many people may have a similar experience. There is a delay between the pain and the physical injury. Then there is the example we mentioned at the beginning. The man's foot was not injured at all, but he still feels a lot of pain. The rattlesnake theory does not explain these phenomena. There are many similar examples. It seems that the relationship between physical injury and pain may not always be present. So where does pain come from? Through years of research, scientists have gradually uncovered the truth about pain. It is not only related to our bodies, but also to our mental and emotional changes. In other words, there are 3 general sources of pain. First, from a physical point of view, everyone has injury receptors in their skin. It is these receptors that detect pain stimulus in our body. They are specialized proteins that bind to corresponding chemical signaling molecules to trigger a cellular response. What is a pain stimulus? For example, if someone touches you lightly, this is not a pain stimulus and you will not feel pain. However, if someone pinches you, you will feel pain. That is a pain stimulus. Pain stimuli are usually divided into 3 types. The first is a mechanical stimulus, such as a hard object on the body. The second is a chemical stimulus, such as the lactic acid that builds up in the legs of regular marathon runners and causes pain. The third is a temperature stimulus, such as boiling water. Typically, pain is activated by temperatures above 110 degrees Fahrenheit, 43 degrees Celsius. In addition, different stimuli activate the same injury receptors. Let's take an example like chili peppers. In fact, chili peppers are not a taste sensation, but a pain sensation. So how do you relieve the sensation of heat after eating something hot? The common practice of drinking water is actually wrong, because capsaicin does not dissolve in water. It will spread its molecules to all parts of your mouth, and you will feel hotter and hotter. What is the right way? Because capsaicin is fat-soluble, so you can drink milk or yogurt to relieve the hot sensation very quickly. Second, pain is produced by the brain. Scientists have discovered that pain is not received by the brain. It is produced by the brain. Our brain only receives signals of injury, but pain is a subjective sensation produced by the brain. The most typical example is when a person is anesthetized. The anesthetic cuts the connection between the brain and the body. If you operate on his skin, he will feel no pain. Third, pain is related to sensation, emotion, and cognition. Scientists who scanned the human brain with functional MRI found that more than just one part of the brain was activated during pain. Many parts of the brain that control parts of the body are activated, including those that control physical, mental, and social functioning. In July 2020, the International Association for the Study of Pain updated its definition of pain. It says, pain is an unpleasant sensory and emotional experience associated with actual or potential tissue damage. This means that pain can occur with an injury, but sometimes it can occur without an injury. It is a very complex and integrated subjective experience. 2. The role of pain. A protective mechanism of the body. What is the purpose of pain? Biologists have suggested that the purpose of pain, in a nutshell, is to protect the body from harm. In fact, pain is the brain's danger signal, alerting us to injury and danger. But sometimes it goes too far, causing the body to feel pain even when there is no injury. Nevertheless, it is dangerous when the body loses the ability to produce pain sensations. There is a rare group of people in the world who are pain-free. Cambridge geneticist Jeffrey Woods has always been curious about the mechanisms that cause pain. One day in 2002, he heard about a 13-year-old boy in a small village known locally as Superman. He often performed amazing feats, such as walking barefoot through a pile of red-hot coal without feeling any pain. After receiving this news, Woods felt strongly that the boy was likely to be a painless patient. So he planned to take his research team to the village to study the boy. But when he arrived in the village, he learned that the boy had died on his 14th birthday. Rather than give up, Woods went to the boy's home to continue his research. To his surprise, he discovered that many in the boy's family were pain-free. They had many things in common. For example, they were all covered in scars. What struck Woods most was that these people were extremely unhappy with their lives. Because they don't feel pain, they live in fear every day. They have to constantly check their bodies, not knowing when they might be injured. In addition, these pain-free people rarely survive into adulthood. So pain is a very important protective mechanism for the body. It protects the body from harm. So what makes these people born without pain? Through genetic research, Woods found that they have a mutation in the SCN9A gene. The mutation caused the NaV1.7 sodium ion channel in the cell membrane to malfunction. The sodium channel is a large protein molecule in the membrane of our cells. It can be thought of as a door. When the body is stimulated by an injury, the door opens and sodium ions pass through. This generates an electrical current, which in turn generates a nerve impulse that produces the sensation of pain. However, due to the genetic mutation, this person will not open the door no matter what kind of stimulus he receives. Therefore, he does not feel pain. The discovery of this gene is a milestone in the study of pain. Of course, in this world there is yin and yang. Because there are people whose pain channels don't open, there are people who open them very easily. There is a disease called erythema gangrenosum. The patient's NaV1.7 sodium channel opens easily. It opens with gentle stimulation. For example, if we gently touch their skin, they will feel a burning pain, which is also very painful. Of course, for most people, our pain mechanisms work properly. However, there are subjective factors that can affect our perception of pain. T3 subjective factors affecting pain perception. We now know that pain is a subjective sensation that occurs when the brain receives a pain stimulus. What factors influence our perception of pain in everyday life? How can we reduce and relieve pain better, and more specifically? 1. Distraction and visualization for pain relief. In fact, a person's attention has a great influence on the perception of pain. A team in the United States has developed an interesting virtual reality (VR) goggle. They gave these glasses to some patients who were ready to receive burn treatment. After wearing them, the patients entered a world of ice and snow. In this world, there are cute penguins, mammoth elephants. The patients could also throw snowballs at these animals by manipulating some buttons. Functional MRI scans of their brains showed that there was a 30 to 50% reduction in pain. This distraction reduces activity in the painful areas of the brain. As we often see, children are afraid of needles. Some experienced pediatricians will hold a toy to get the child's attention. Sometimes the child doesn't even feel the injection after it's done. So distraction, learning to distract ourselves, can ease our pain. Another factor is imagination. A typical example is hypnosis. For example, there is a symptom called irritable bowel syndrome, IBS. The basic situation of this disease is that when a person is stressed, it reflects as digestive symptoms. For example, some people will have diarrhea. Some people will have stomach pain. Some experienced hypnotherapists can treat this condition. The hypnotherapist will use gentle conversation to direct the patient's attention to the whole body, and eventually the patient will be able to relax the body completely. In some cases, after a few months of hypnotherapy, the patient's IBS has completely disappeared. Why is hypnosis so effective? Because under hypnosis, a person's attention is highly focused on a certain thing or idea. When we are immersed in a certain thing, our peripheral awareness is weakened, which is also a kind of distraction in a sense, and it can relax our plant nerves. That's why there's a word that's often used in hypnosis called disassociation. It means that different parts of the consciousness are separated from each other. Our brain can hear and respond to cues without the presence of consciousness. This explains why some people can follow commands under hypnosis without being conscious of it. However, different people respond differently to hypnosis. If you want to try hypnotherapy, you should not try it on your own. Instead, you should go to a formal medical institution. Let professional people give you help and treatment. 2. Anticipatory effect reduces pain. What is the anticipatory effect? Have you ever heard of placebo? Placebo is one of the medical tools of expectancy. The most typical placebo is a sugar pill disguised as a pill. Do placebos really work? There is a story about a girl who suffered from chronic insomnia. She asked her boyfriend, who was a doctor. He prescribed some sleeping pills to help her sleep. After a few months, her sleep quality slowly improved. She found out that the sleeping pills her boyfriend had prescribed were not pills at all, but starch tablets. But the strange thing is, even though she took the starch tablets every day, she still slept well. This is the placebo effect. However, placebos aren't just drugs. There is also placebo surgery. In 2000, a group of orthopedic surgeons in Houston wanted to do a placebo surgery experiment. They do a lot of osteoarthritis surgery. Generally speaking, the traditional procedure is to use an arthroscope to remove the ligament and bone growth from the joint cavity. These doctors designed a controlled study. They divided 180 patients with severe knee pain into two groups. One group had routine surgery. The other group was anesthetized and did nothing. The results of the trial showed that both groups showed the same improvement in pain. This shows that placebos can affect our perception of pain. How does it work? It actually creates an anticipatory effect of pain in the brain. The placebo treatment causes the brain to release pain-relieving chemicals, such as endorphins in the area that senses pain. So, positive anticipation of physical pain helps us relieve pain. What should people who need pain relief do? Some doctors recommend, after taking the medicine, close your eyes and visualize the medicine entering your body and slowly working its way through your body. This training gives the brain an anticipation of the pain, which may enhance the pain-relieving effects of the medication. 3. The brain's awareness of the stimulus relieves the pain. Usually, our body is afraid of pain and we try to stay away from things that cause us pain. However, there is a group of people who actively pursue pain. There are a lot of them. Let me ask you a question. Do you like spicy food? If you like spicy food, then you belong to the group of people who actively seek pain. Another example, some people like to run marathons. However, if you often run marathons, your legs are going to hurt a lot. So why are so many people willing to pursue pain? Because they get pleasure from pain. It's called reverse hedonism. It's based on the fact that there's a partial overlap between the pain cortex and the pleasure cortex in the brain. How do we know which pain gives us pleasure and which doesn't? The most important thing to know is whether the brain perceives the stimulus as safe or harmful. You'll find that, whether you're eating spicy food or running a marathon, we don't think that the stimulus will endanger our survival. So it's a security threat. No child is born with a taste for spicy food, but as they grow older, they eat more and more spicy food. Slowly they feel that spicy does not affect the body. That is why a lot of people have become addicted to the feeling of eating spicy food. There is another example. Walking on the street. A man was suddenly bitten by a dog that jumped out. At that moment, will he feel the pain first? Or will he fight with the dog and then feel the pain? Obviously, he will fight the dog first. Why is that so? It's because compared to the pain, the more life-threatening factors distract us from the pain. The contagiousness of pain affects the perception of pain. Is pain contagious? Pain is not an infectious disease, but pain spreads from person to person. We can read the explanation of this phenomenon in Wikipedia. A mirror associate can see the touch of someone else and feel it in their own body. In the world, about 2% of the world's population are mirror associates. But for most of us, pain is, in fact, contagious. For example, as we watch a movie, when we see some fight scenes, we will feel very uncomfortable. We may even feel pain. This kind of feeling is actually a kind of pain transference. Human beings have a very ancient ability. It is called empathy. Humans are social group animals. We need to be very sensitive to the emotions of our group members in order to live better with them. In this way, we can be better accepted by the group. Empathy is the ultimate expression of this ability to empathize. What is the meaning of empathic pain? As we've said before, the nature of pain is to help us avoid harm. There are so many dangers in the world that are threats to our very existence. So, we have a natural empathy gene. We can recognize danger by feeling the pain of others, and through learning we can avoid danger. This is the meaning of the contagiousness of pain. 5. The relationship between social relations and pain. There is a harmful phenomenon in today's society that is becoming more and more prevalent. It is loneliness. Research has shown that people whose loneliness persists for long periods of time suffer the same damage to the body as smoking 15 cigarettes per day. Of course, being alone is not the same as feeling lonely. Why is loneliness so harmful? It has to do with personal survival. Pain is supposed to make us feel threatened. In primitive societies, if a person was isolated from the group, it meant survival was threatened. If a person has pain symptoms and they don't have good social connections, the pain can be exacerbated. On the contrary, good social relationships can relieve pain, even though pain is the body's protective mechanism. But this chronic pain has been bothering some people for a long time. How to deal with chronic pain? Approximately 1 in 5 people worldwide have chronic pain. What is chronic pain? Whenever pain lasts longer than 3 months, it is chronic pain. This is where we need to intervene. We have to intervene with human means. Otherwise, people will live in too much pain. What can people do about chronic pain in the body? There are some common things in life that can be done to treat pain. For example, knitting. There's a man named Korkil. He was a physical therapist. He found that a lot of people help themselves out of pain by knitting. Knitting is an effective way to treat pain because it has several characteristics. First, it has repetitive movements. We see people in pain. They're pacing back and forth or banging on the table. This repetition reduces the pain. Second, when a person is knitting, the attention is focused on the knitting. This is the equivalent of a distraction. It prevents one from paying too much attention to the sensation of pain. Third, this is a very interesting point. When you knit, your hands cross the center line of your body, and crossing the midline of the body affects the brain's ability to localize pain. So, knitting can help a lot of people get out of chronic pain. There are 3 ways to manage chronic pain. First, make adjustments so that your brain feels safe. Make lifestyle changes. For example, exercise regularly, because exercise opens the brain's natural medicine cabinet. It releases endorphins, dopamine, and other pain-relieving chemicals. 2. Adjust your breathing. Adjust your breathing rate by taking deep breaths. This helps relieve pain and relax the body. 3. Adjust your sleep. Get enough rest. When we have a good quality of sleep, the body repairs itself. Therefore, it is very important to get a good night's sleep every day. The final way to deal with chronic pain is to understand it. Doctors today treat what is already there. What is the real healer? It's us. No one can survive on drugs. We have to change our lives by eating well, sleeping well, living well, and knowing how to deal with pain properly. So, simply by really understanding how pain works, can also help people with pain to relieve it. That's all for this edition. See you next time.